Hey there, in this video I'm going to talk about why you might want to run the Dublin Marathon in 2024. I'm making this video because last weekend, the last Sunday in October 2023, I went and I watched the Dublin Marathon, and I thought I'd make this video. Watching the marathon made me want to run it in 2024, and in this video I thought I'd describe the marathon, what I saw, what I think it would be like, and why I entered for 2024, at least the lottery, and how you might do also. I live very close to the course. Dublin isn't that big and it's a population of about 1 million people. But yeah, I live close to the course, and at least close to the start, close to the finish. And I'm part of the leaflet drop. I'll show some screen grabs of leaflets dropped in my door. But the route starts and ends in the Georgian core, in around Fitzwilliam Square and Merrion Square. And everything is in a very compact area. And for a marathon, a looped course makes for very easy logistics. So it's very good. You head out at the start, you go into the city, and you head out towards, you go across the River Liffey onto the north side, and you wander through the beautiful Phoenix Park, and then you wander back around, and then you loop out to the south side of the city, coming back on what I think they call the last bit is the Purple Mile, Northumberland Road and Lower Mount Street in Dublin, and you head back. And as I say, it's a looped course. I would describe it as slightly hilly, but everyone else seems to describe it as flat. The course record is about 2 hours and 6 minutes. It was broken this year, so it is a pretty fast course, so it can't be that hilly. I will point out, I've never run it. I have run every single part of it, and I adore running in Dublin. I'll put a link at the end to why I like running in Dublin, but I really do love running Dublin, but I haven't run this particular course yet. I'm going to try and follow the format I usually make when running videos about travelling too, even though for me I wouldn't have to travel. But for people coming from overseas, Ireland is very easy to get to. It's a hub. There's a huge amount of flights from the United States. The one advantage of a marathon in Dublin, if you're coming from the United States, is actually the return journey, because you go through pre-clearance. So technically you're in the United States before you've left Dublin. I left my house, I got a taxi cab to the airport, but including the cab ride, the checking in, local security, and then American pre-clearance, technically I was in America in less than 60 minutes. So yeah, it's really good for getting in and out of the town, as we would call it, is not that far from the airport. Accommodation is good, plentiful, but in Dublin we would think it's expensive. I'm here in New York, and it's cheaper than New York, not by much. But because it's a looped course, again, your hotel, there's lots of hotels very close. I'll show a picture of the Shelburne Hotel, which is an upscale hotel. I haven't stayed there, and it's pretty close to the course. The Schoolhouse Hotel, which is where you saw the drummers at the start, they're right outside the Schoolhouse Hotel. That's another one close by, but there's lots of hotels, and all very handy. Everything is really close. The start and the finish are very close together, a couple of 100 yards, maybe half a kilometre or something like that. And yeah, very easy to get in and around. So if you book somewhere central on the south side of the city, it's very easy to walk to the course. The Marathon Expo is in the RDS, the Royal Dublin Society, which is, it's beside the American Embassy. It's 2 or 3k out of town. It's actually alongside the route, but it's a big hall. It's a performing centre. Bruce Springsteen and his daughter have both performed there, one on a horse, one on a stage. Not mixing a stage and horse, but yeah, they've performed there, and there's lots of shows. It's a well-known venue. And the Expo, I went last year. I enjoyed it more last year. It's not huge. It's reasonably big. But there's lots of the usual stuff. There's gels, and there's earbuds, and there's all the usual stuff that you expect. ASICS, I think, were the only major group there running shoe company. They were there, and very easy to pick up your bib, and you can go in and out anytime. The Dublin Marathon is very easy to basically, the organisation of it is really well done. We're not famed for our organisation in Ireland, or our organisational skills, or at least I don't think we are, but it's really well organised, and you can just rock up to the RDS and pick up your bib without too much fuss or bother. I went out the day before to take some pictures of what the marathon setup was like. I could see all the barriers being prepared. It was very beautiful. The canal is about 500 or 600 metres from the end, and it's really beautiful. So I'll do a panorama as you see the canal, and then it sweeps over to Lower Mount Street, and that's the last, that's the finishing straight, and that's about 500 metres long at that point in time. It's it's straight. So if you've got the energy, it's really straight on down. I show some pictures of the winner. He certainly had a lot of energy. And then you finish in Merrion Square. I'll show some pictures I took from most of grassy knoll in Merrion Square. Very much the centre of Georgian architecture. I couldn't actually film the finish on the day because it was, well, they cordoned off our security and various other bits and bobs. But yeah, it's a very beautiful part. The Georgian part of Dublin is where the start and the finish of the Dublin City Marathon is. I got up early, as I always do, to get to the course, and was surprised to see people arriving. Well, I thought it was really late for the marathon, but it turns out you could rock up pretty much 10 minutes before the start of your gate and probably get in without too much fuss or your wave. It was yeah, very relaxed on the morning. It was, I know the area very well, and it was easy for me to get to the start line. You could work your way up the canal and then cross one of the locks and then walk around, and that's, very few people realize this, and that's why you'll see in the pictures that I've taken at the start, there's almost nobody around. The start is on the Georgian Mile. It starts in Fitzwilliam Square along this road called the Georgian Mile, and it goes up Fitzwilliam Square before going down Leeson Street. On the morning it was a bit wetter than anybody liked. Actually, the whole race was wetter than anybody would like. Not as nice as the day before, but didn't dampen anybody's spirits. And yeah, I got there good and early, set up the GoPros. There are 5 waves in the Dublin City Marathon. They go off at 20-minute intervals. I was surprised by this because you'll see people in wave 1 and they're firing along, and then it's sort of, the street is empty for a long period of time before the next person comes, because I think it takes maybe 5 minutes for the wave to get through, and then there's 15 minutes where there's a big long gap. But it works out really well because all of the pens started exactly on time, on scheduled time, and at the finish everybody was equally spread out. So they know what they're doing, but yeah, when you're watching it at the start, initially it's disconcerting.
There's our gun, and there's our start of the Irish Life Dublin Marathon 2023. The best of luck to every one of you. The lady on board last. You have worked very, very hard for this. You worked very, very long for it. Brian Kelly from He's out there. Gillian Clark has come all the way back from Dubai to compete here after doing a 3 hours, 3 minutes in Berlin.
Wave 2 came along another 20 minutes later. Here and there I saw friends waving at me and stuff like that, but I've tried to film. If you think you're in a particular thing and you think you pass by and you think I might have some footage, let me know. The email's in the description and I'll try and find you. I took a lot of footage from various different camera angles, slow motions, various things. One of the things I found strange was how slowly people set off. Sometimes it looked, and now wave 2, there are 5 waves, so wave 2 would be, I'd be starting in wave 3, and I would be intending to do it in 3 hours, 50 minutes or thereabouts. But anyway, people started really slowly. People kept running across the line. I thought they were like finished at one point in time. There was somebody walking really slowly, and I could, anyway, you can see the expression on the organisers, you know, and me laughing in the background because we couldn't figure out, like, this was at the start. And of course they have to move everybody in from wave 2 before they can bring in wave 3. Another thing that happened was I saw how much clothing is left behind.
How could so much gear be left behind? There's more gear here now there is in pennies on a Stephen's Day, sales day, not to mind the Dunn stores or whatever. Discarded stuff that was bought lovingly.
It was great. I went and there was a guy and he was collecting it all for a place in Liberties, recycling and repurposing and redistribution, and that was great. So it all gets collected. It was very sodden and wet. I found a poncho from the Berlin Marathon that was going to be thrown out because it was just, you couldn't sell that so I took it here. I'm bringing it to New York to use it. I'm leaving it behind in Staten Island. I'm hoping someone will take it to another marathon. That'd be great. But anyway, it's amazing how much of the clothing there are. But there was a guy who spent his time and he was very happy to get it, and it will be redistributed, and you'll see pictures of it here. Yeah, I was somewhat shocked at just the sheer amount of it. I'll show the start of wave 3, which effectively you'll see that there's I'll show a picture of the empty street. That's the sort of end of wave 2, where people haven't it doesn't bunch up until the end, and they organise it really well that way. I've never started a marathon in the front of the corral. I'm always sort of midway, and maybe it's like that in every marathon, but it did seem very unusual when you're watching it. The sort of big empty street at the start. You think, when is it starting? Not realizing everyone else has gone. And at the end of I showed various pictures of wave 3 in various things, and tried some slow motion. But yeah, wave 3 then heads off. I didn't stay to see wave 5. I saw my friend Connor in wave 2, and I saw Paul, my friend, in wave 3, and then they were pretty much who I thought I'd see on the race. And so I wandered down. I watched the 4th wave. They were coming up the street. They get led up slowly, and that was kind of interesting to see them making their way up. And then I wandered around the course just to have a look at the sort of start and finish area. I have an obsession with toilets at marathons and lack thereof, or I love the European system where they have the men's urinals out and everybody can see them. That works great for me. We're not quite at that level yet in Dublin, but I did find two interesting things. One was there was lots and lots and lots of toilets. They were really an awful lot of portable toilets. There really were. And I saw some were disabled friendly, which was great to see. And then I saw another one. You see the inside, me filming the inside of a men's toilet after the race had started, and there was nobody around. But it was just one of these trailers you go in, and it's great because you can bulk get through a lot of people who aren't then queuing up inside and messing up the portaloos. So yeah, from that point of view, it looked really good. There's a bag drop area at Marion Square. I was looking where they were sort of, they had it all set out, and the finish line, just at the finish line, there's a big screen TV, so you could watch the race filmed as people were running around. And yeah, there was a sort of bit, it's funny, at the finish line of a marathon when it started and there's nobody around is kind of a surreal feeling. At least that's how I felt. Kamal Hussein of Ethiopia won the race in, I think it was 2 hours 6 minutes and 52 seconds or thereabouts. I have pictures of him coming down Lower Mount Street. It was as close as I could get and film the finish reasonably, but it was funny. The atmosphere there wasn't great because it turns out that everybody turns out to spectate a bit later on. Now it was very wet. Turn around when they think their friends are going to come, and most people's friends are mid-pack. So by the time the mid-pack comes around, you see some pictures in a while, it's very busy. But the atmosphere for the winners, I didn't think it was great. That won't affect me when I run the race. So yeah, and then so he won in a new course record, and then there's various people. Stephen Scullion, he didn't break the Irish record, but he was the first Irishman home. Anne-Marie McLean, she was the first Irish woman home. She was fantastic. I apologize, I don't have any pictures of her finishing, but she was cheering and whooping, and it was fantastic to see somebody who knows they're going to win, and it clearly means something huge to them. So it was really good. So I'm sorry I don't have any pictures of her. And so I went on then to film other parts of the race. One of the things that works really well in the Dublin Marathon is when the street is wide, particularly at Lower Mount Street near the finish, they have this system where they halfway across the road, they've got this sort of island barrier they make, and then they have a team of people organised so that as the runners come down, you get this island in the middle of the road, and you either go down one side or the other side. And as soon as there's a break, all the people fan across, so you get funneled down one side, and then people can go to the island here. And then when there's a break, they funnel at that side, and then they can go that way or whatever way it works. But it worked really well, and of course it's sponsored by Irish Life, and they have various people out with various signs. I saw one of them which, you know, if you're from Ireland, you know exactly what it means, is run like you left the immersion on. An immersion is an electric heater, and every Irish kid remembers their mother screaming at them for leaving it on and running up the electricity bill. So I don't know if that works in England, but it certainly works in Ireland. Yeah, every Irish person knows that. So there's a variety of signs by the sponsors and various other signs in and around the course. If you want to see the race, then it's good to see the start. I really enjoyed seeing the start, and that was very easy. You can see in the pictures that there's almost nobody there because nobody knew how to cross the canal and go up the side and onto Fitzwilliam Street. I had to ask a guard was okay because they hold back the crowd early on. They don't want people early on there. And then I just asked a friendly guard, said, look, do you mind if I go down? He said, absolutely no bother. So I went down, and you'll see I was one of the few people on the street, but it was really good. And so that's, if you do want to spectate in the Dublin City Marathon, it's really easy to get the start, that I can say. The other thing is that then I don't know what it's like out around the course. Reports were good from friends, but certainly along where the Northumberland Road and Merrion Road, in that sort of area, but certainly Northumberland Road just before the canal, there's the band drumming, which is really fantastic, and there's a really great atmosphere. I mean, it was soaking. I live close by, so I nipped back 4 times. I still soaked several times, and changing batteries and cameras and digital cards and all sorts of stuff. So I was trying all of that stuff, and yeah, that was. But in speaking to people who ran it, people said didn't seem to notice the rain. So, and in fact, some people were interviewed afterward, and they said they thought it was great. It was really great to get that bit of rain. So yeah, it was, and it was on and off during the course, and yeah, nobody seemed to mind the rain, apart from probably the spectators. But yeah, huge amount of people running it, and as I said, so in terms of people, I think there is about 23,000, maybe 22,000, 23,000. It's the 4th biggest marathon in Europe. It's part of the Abbott overall world major marathon group. It's not one of the top 6, but it's one of the very many of them. There is an app that I discovered late in the day, that there's an app, and I could have tracked everybody. I didn't quite realize, I didn't get my act together early on enough. And I think it's the same app that they use in Rotterdam that's been reskinned. They look similar, but it's got all the usual features, the map, and you can see people as they go along and their expected finish time. And yeah, the app was really good. I wish I'd found that out a little bit earlier, but the app was really good. The Dublin City Marathon 2024 is on Sunday, October 27th, and the lottery to enter it, I think, went live yesterday. Today is Friday the 3rd of November, and I think it's open for a week or 10 days. So I'm not exactly sure the date. I'll put a link in the description. But it is open. I think if you're a female runner, you don't need to apply for the lottery. I think you can get straight in. And if you've run it before, you're invited. Do you want to run it again? Which is why there are so many serial people who run it. It seems to be like, it's the thing you do if you're a runner. You kind of do it every October. It's on the last bank holiday of every October. So set up on a Saturday, run Sunday, and then they clean up the city very quickly, because I was at the day after. It's done very quickly. I entered the lottery this morning. I'm here in New York. I really do hope I get into it, because I really got the feeling that if you run it once, you'll be a serial offender. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoy running the Dublin Marathon 2024. Thanks for watching.